Hey everyone, it's Jeannie from A1 and I'm getting ready to stitch out the borders on Sweetland. Oh no, it's going to call it Sweetland of Liberty on Star Spangled Beauty. So you're going to see right here, it has these little tiny navy borders that are 1 inch. So what you're going to be stitching is you are going to be stitching the designs here. These are the 1 inch designs, but when you load them, they're going to say 1.5, and that's because you're going to have a 1/2 inch on either side where you're going to be able to sew that in, so you'll lose a 1/4 inch on either side, which will leave you with 1 inch. So go ahead and select the 1 inch. I'm going to do probably a combination of the 1x10s and the 1x12s, but maybe it might be a 1x7 depending on what I need to finish it off. And I cut down my batting strips. I did cut them down. Where are they? Instead of doing like normally when I do borders and things like that, normally I would cut 1 inch, whatever it is, you're going to cut that. But I like to add a 1/4 inch so that that batting doesn't kind of get shoved in and bunched up. So I cut these strips are 1 1/4 and they're just like nice and long. So I measured my, I also just measured what I have here right now. So that's kind of pieced together. And mine is 54 inches, little bit bigger on one side, like a 1/4 inch bigger on the other side. So I measured it here on the left, here on the right. I probably am supposed to measure just right down the center. But from here to here is about 54 inches. And then on one side I had about 54 1/4. So I'm going to make my strips 55 inches. That's the plan. 55 inches, and I should be covered from top to bottom. Maybe we'll do 56 inches just to make sure we have enough. Okay. This is the hoop that I'm using. I'm using my 7x12, but I'm going to try and stick to 10-inch designs. So we'll have probably 5 hoopings. And if you look here in your instructions, your cut instructions, hopefully this makes sense for you. Ta-da! Right here. They want you to have 1, 2, 3. 2 2-inch pieces that are with a fabric. Did I say 2? 3 2-inch pieces that are with a fabric. And you're supposed to pre-cut these and then sew like half of this onto here and half onto here. I'm just doing it like this. I didn't even pre-cut my fabric. This is the midnight blue fabric. Didn't even press it. Didn't even do anything. I'm just going to go ahead and do each strip. I'm going to do 3 strips at a time. And then I will cut them apart. And then I'll cut my 3rd strip in half. And then I'll attach it. I'm going to have a little bit of batting in the seam, but I'm telling you, this batting is like almost like nothing. So it's not going to really make a difference. I don't think you're going to notice. I'm not going to notice. And I think that's going to be the easiest way, because then I can do 3 strips at a time instead of 2 super long strips. And let's go ahead and get started. So here is my piece of muslin, which I had this random big, huge piece left. And I love it because I'm going to snug in my pieces right here. And then I'll have all of this left over to the right. And then I just left it. See, here's this piece. I've been chewing on this for a while. So it's going to go all the way. Look at that. This was obviously something that got turned under. And so now I get to use it. So I might have to, we might have to cut this and then start over again. But let's see how far we can get. I'm going to go ahead and slide this onto my machine. This is my 7x12. As far as thread color goes, what does it call for? It is going to call for, I know I have 2 of these. 2 of these. Borders. It calls for cobalt, which I think it's kind of interesting because will you be able to see that stitching at all? Because maybe it'll look better if I do it in pearl. And then you can see the words. I don't know. Oh, I guess that'll look pretty. You know, it's a little bit of tone on tone because we are going to do those scallop edges too. So let's go on over to the machine. Okay, I'm going to go into embroidery. I loaded with Design Database Transfer right here. I loaded the 1-inch ones, and I want to stick to like this one right here. So we could do this one. That's the 10-inch. Wait a minute. There, I want the 1.5s. So this one I don't even want. I could do this one 1.5 by almost 8. This one is 1.5 by 11 and 13.9, 9, and 6. Where is my 10-inch? I should have a 10-inch in here. Okay, hang on one second. I'm going to make sure I have them all. This one, I'm going to put in the trash can. Whoops. Nope. Because I don't want to get confused. This one, I'm going to put in the trash can. Okay, let me make sure I have all the 1.5-inch ones. Okay, it is a little confusing, but I went back and checked these, and we are doing these, the ones that say they're 1-inch, okay? But they measure out at 1.5, so that extra 1/2 inch, 1/4 inch on either side. And these are their sizes right here. So you're going to see that this one, 1.5 by 6.67, that is your 1 by 7. This one, your 1.5 by 13.99 is considered your 1 by 14A. This one, which is your 1 by 12, which is 1.5 by 11.01, that's considered your 1 by 12. And then this one I think is the most confusing one because it is 1.5 by 7.54, which isn't even close to 10, but that is called your 1 by 10A. So anyhow, let's go ahead and we're going to start using those. I think for us, if we can get away with it, let's do a whole bunch of the 1.5 by 11.01. And I'm going to go ahead and set that. I'm going to choose my hoop size. So I'm going to go here to my settings button. I'm going to choose my 7 by 12. I'm going to say okay. And then let's take this one and bump it all the way over here. I'm going to duplicate that. So I'm just going to go edit, make a copy. I'm not going to use my fingers to move it just because and that looks pretty even. And then I'm going to go ahead. We can move it over because I'm putting one piece of fabric down. I don't have to worry about that fabric kind of getting caught. I'm going to say, okay. I'm going to do, I'm going to make a copy and then we'll take that one and move. And you know what else I'm going to do? I'm going to move this away from the edge because next time when we go to do our hooping, we'll have a little more room. It'll be a little more forgiving. How's that look? That is, 8.5. Move that down. Okay, so we're going to leave it like that, but I'm going to go ahead and say okay. And then I'm going to say embroidery. That's going to combine the 3. I'm going to go layout, move, and I'm going to scoot it a little bit away from the edge so I'll have some room to rehoop and I won't have to be perfect. Okay, last thing I'm going to do is none of these are overlapping. I'm going to touch this button right here, which will color sort for me. So it's going to do the placement for the batting for all of them. Then I'll do tack down for the batting, placement for the background, and then so on and so forth. So, and we're not going to do this step. We're going to do this step. We'll do the placement for the background and then tack down for the background and then all of the quilting all at once. I went ahead and put in cloud because when it does the tack down, I want it to be a color that's going to contrast. So the cobalt might be a little bit too close. And I'm going to touch this button where we can go forward and backward steps. Let's go ahead and get started. So first thing it's going to do is the placement stitch for your batting. While it's doing the placement stitch for the batting, I'm going to come on over here. Look how cute Momo is. So cute. Okay, come on over here. And I'm going to spray the wrong side of my batting. These are just ick pieces that I had left over that were left over from a quilt. Yep, they're left over from a quilt. They're like the border pieces that I cut off once I quilted it. This is, I know this doesn't look like the ick side, but it is. Because I've been dragging this around. I don't get rid of anything. And this is going to be so nice to use it, right? Like it's serving its purpose. And you don't have to spray the whole thing, okay? And I like to leave those all in one piece. And then my muslin all in one piece. Let's see how long this takes us. I mean, I think it's going to be pretty fast because we'll just have to stitch this out. This is an 11-minute stitch out. Okay, now I'm going to go ahead and lay down my batting. And again, I cut it a little bit bigger. And I can go ahead. Oop, is that even the... Which side did I spray? Yeah, that is the right side that I sprayed. And like I said, I like it a little bit bigger so that I can have it a little bit over the edges. And it doesn't get pushed to the inside. I'm going to lay it down this whole way, just peeking underneath. And then I'll overlap my batting. Like I do all sorts of stuff, but I just use it all up. All of those little bits and pieces that you didn't used to keep that you would just throw away, you need to start keeping because I use it all. Okay, all the way down to the bottom. And then I'm going to pull these pieces down over here too. There we go. And I'm going to do the next one. And the fabric that's going, I know this looks really ratty. This has been like just like smashed up in a bag with all scraps from fabric and batting and everything. And if you want to cut it an inch, that's fine too. Doesn't have to be as wide as I have this. And normally I'll make sure that little thread was gone, but it's a dark fabric. You're not going to see it, so I'm just going to leave it. Okay. Isn't that nice? Those are all down. This is what it looks like on the very bottom. And now I'm going to come back over to my spray tent and I'm going to spray the fabric that's going to go down. And I've been taking little bits and pieces off of this piece of fabric because I was like, oh, I messed up that and I messed up this. So I've had to take little chunks off of it. Hang on, let me see how far over. Okay. So probably about there. And you don't have to spray the whole thing. I'm going to put the selvage up above because who wants selvage in their finished quilt? I'm just going to bring this down. I have probably about, I don't know, half an inch on. I moved that. Half an inch on either side. There we go. And now what we're going to do is, I don't even have to do the background placement stitch. I'm going to go straight to, I should be outside of that. Yes. I'm going to say okay to this. This is the batting tack down. Going to skip it. It happens 3 times. That is the background. That's where you do the background placement stitch. I don't need that either. I'm just checking my fabric underneath here. So I'm going to skip all of those. 1, 2, 3. That I want. That is my background tack down. And I'm going to do that. So let's go ahead and say okay. Or stay there. We're just going to stitch it. I want you to grab your little stiletto, whatever else you're going to use, instead of your finger, in case you need to hold that fabric down. And here we go. We're going to fussy cut, or not fussy cut, we're going to cut 1/8 of an inch outside of this line. So you need like, this is kind of cutting it close. Maybe I should have moved it over a little bit more, but you need about 1/2 inch. 1/4 of an inch bare minimums, because we're going to cut 1/8 of an inch outside of that. And then we're going to do the quilting. And the top ones are done. Top part of your strips are done. Okay, wanted a color that I could see because I'm going to cut 1/8 of an inch. When we trim these, we'll press and then trim 1/8 of an inch outside of these. So now I'm going to take out my cloud. And I'm going to put in, and this will get sewn into your seam allowance, because you're going to sew 1/4 inch away from the 1/8 of an inch. So. And then go ahead and just let it do the quilting stitch. This is going to be 2 minutes of stitching. And then we're going to rehoop. I think this is actually going to be 6 minutes, 2 minutes for each one. Minute down, a minute back up again. Looks good. Okay, last one. And then we're going to rehoop. Sorry. Hang on. Let me shut my door. All right, let's go ahead and rehoop. So, hang on. I'm going to just really quickly measure from here to here. That's pretty much an inch. Yeah, do you see? So this line right here is pretty much an inch, and I'm going to hope that that helps me rehoop really easily. And then from the top, I am a little, like an inch and an eighth down from the top. I'm going to go an inch and a half from the top and an inch over. Let's go ahead. I'm going to take all my magnets out. All right. Scoot this all up. And I gave myself a little bit of room. You know, I didn't fill the entire hoop because I was hoping that would make it a little bit easier for me. So you do have to clip everything on the top. And then now I'm going to do my sides. I want that over a little bit more. What I also love about this is I feel like muslin is way more pliable than your no-show mesh. Like, I feel like it's way easier to work with this. And I want to be about an inch over. Oop, too far. Or not far enough. I'm going to scoot that over the tiniest bit. You might have to rehoop a couple of times. A little bit more. Okay, that's an inch. Perfect. Alrighty, so I'm going to take this, now that I've got these on and this one on, I'm going to take this and bring it, well, let's get the rest of this on. I'm going to get this up and out of the way. I'm going to go ahead and... my last one. All right, that looks good. We're going to use, I mean, because I can, I'm going to use the projector too, and I'm going to check it. You have to be at stitch 0. I'm at stitch 0 right here. And then I'm going to say, okay, to get out of this screen. There's my projector. Projector is on. Carriage is going to move. And let's go ahead and move our projector up. Whoop, didn't mean to do that. But I want to see the top of my projector. So my projector is right here, kind of in the middle of my page. I want to move it up here so I can see this. I'm just going to kind of drag it up with my hand so I can see that area right there and just see how well lined up we are. Okay, with your projector on the luminaire, on the Avenir and the luminaire, you have to make sure your fabric is flat. So my design's a little bit too far over. Now I can use the buttons here to move the design. So I'm going to go ahead and just use this arrow down here to move my design to the right. And what I'm looking at is up here. I want to make sure that is lined up. It's going to be the center line. That's my tack down. So that center line is my tack down. The outer line is my background placement. The inner line is batting. Batting, tack down, placement for the other one. And that looks awesome. So it's a little bit high. I want to take my design and move it down a little bit. Here we go, right here. And that's why I did not want to make it go, I did not want my design to be all the way at the very top. I wanted there to be a little bit of room on the top and the bottom. I have just about 1/2 inch, so I don't have a ton of room, but I think I can move it down just a little bit more. There we go. Nope. Down. Do you see how well lined up it is right there? Let me see if I can. There we go. So there's my last stitch with my tack down, Again, I'm going to hold it down, and that looks really, really, really good. So projector is going to be a little bit different on the luminaire, but you can move the projector on the screen with your finger, like where the projector is projecting, and then you can use the buttons right here to move the design. And so that's what I did. All right, I'm not going to worry about it down here. Just up on the top is good enough for me. And I'm going to move this out of the way. So this fabric I'm going to move out of the way, as well as the batting out of the way. And I'm going to let it do the placement stitch for the batting. And then we'll lay the batting down. We'll put the fabric down, and then we'll do the tack down for the batting. Okay. So let's go ahead and get this out of the way. We're going to get this all out of the way. Out of the way. Out of the way. Okay. Out of the way. All right. And I might have to take my fabric when it does the batting placement line, and I might just do you see, just assist it a little bit so it doesn't get tacked down. The batting right here in the fabric. So I'm going to just pull these all back. And remember, I'm the boss, so I can go ahead and just move it a little bit. And I think we're ready. So I'm going to go ahead and turn off my projector. Projector is turning off. And I'm going to come back down here so you can see the whole screen. And let's go here. We can go forward and backward stitches. I want to do that. That is going to be the, that's the batting placement line. Give yourself a little room. Don't fill up that hoop because everything has to be perfect. So if you're using like a 10 inch, like let's say it's 10 inches, then maybe go with an 8-inch design. If you're going with your 6x10, maybe go with this 7-inch design, but give yourself a little room all the way around. And that way you can move it to make it fit. All right, I'm going to go ahead and put my cloud back in. Hopefully that'll make sense. And then we'll place the next one. For me, I know now when I place it, I want that line to be about 1 inch from this edge. And you can measure it. Maybe yours would have been 3 inches, 1/2 inch, 2 inches. And then I'm measuring about 1.5 inches down from the top. Let's go ahead and start stitching. Whoop. Did you see how I was almost not there? I'm going to get this kind of out of the way so I can get my arm up there. I'm going to reach around from the back. And I could go down a little bit further. That might have been maybe even better. Okay, now I'm going to pull back this middle one. That's pretty close. I think I'd want to give myself a little more room next time. Okay, I'm going to reach back when I do the next one too. I'm going to come back up here, kind of give this a little tuggy tug so it's not going to get all stitched down. You just don't want it to get stitched in a crease. Now I'm going to reach over to my third one. Hang on. Need to give myself a little time. Hang on, let me grab that. Okay, there we go. You're the boss. Don't forget, you're the boss. You can manipulate your fabric any way you need to. You can use your start-stop button anytime you need to. Okay, I'm going to give this a little shot of spray. I don't often spray in the hoop, but I'm going to do it right now. You don't want to get it all over your hoop. Okay, again, you're going to take your batting and you're going to lay it down and you're going to kind of center it to your batting placement line. Normally, I watch out for like dark threads, anything that might be icky, but in this case, I'm not going to because the fabric is pretty dark. It's called Midnight. And if you're like too far to the left, too far to the right, like 1/8 of an inch, that's fine. When you go to stitch it all out, it's going to be beautiful. If you're like 1/4 inch off, oh, that might be a little much. But like for me, 1/8 of an inch is totally fine. That's why using muslin is so nice. I think it's a little more forgiving than using no-show mesh would be. I think this batting, not only did I use it and has it been like in a bag and just getting kind of grody, I think it's also from like a piece that some of it that I was trimming down looked like Poppy had been chewing on it. We all have our standards, right? Nobody's going to know by the time I'm done with this. Piece looks like it's almost 1 inch exactly. Okay, now we're going to lay down the blue piece. I'm going to give this another shot of spray because I want that blue piece to stay down really well. And protect your hoop. If you want, you can shield it, like get a piece of cardboard that you would kind of shield it. Don't spray your foot either. Here we go. I'm going to take my fabric and I'm going to lay that down. I'm putting my hand underneath so there's a little bit of support. All right, that looks good. We're going to skip some steps. So we do not have to do this step. This is the batting tack down because we cut ours to size. So I'm going to skip this 3 times. 1, 2, 3. This is going to be the background placement. We're going to skip that. Now I'm going to do the background tack down. So we want to do this step. This is really important because this is the step where you will trim 1/8 of an inch outside of. And then we also will do the quilting stitch. I'm going to go ahead and put my cobalt back in. Or actually, no, leave the cloud because you need this so you can see it. And let's go ahead and get started. I'm over like a 1/16 of an inch. That looks pretty good to me. And for some reason, he didn't catch. So let me go ahead and put my foot up. We're going to go back to the beginning of that. So to do that, we're going to hit this button right here. Back to the beginning of the step you're currently on. Here we go. Let's see if it doesn't catch this time, then I have to deal with the bobbin. And it caught. You need an 1/8 of an inch past this stitch because you're going to trim to that. And there's so many different ways. I've done so many borders. I've done so many videos. Sometimes I've cut it to size. I've done it how Kimberbell has you do it. So there's like so many different ways you can do this. But I like doing it this way because your top piece is all in one piece. Your batting strips are all in a piece. Your muslin's all in one piece. Okay, we're going to do this, and we've got to do it 3 more times. Okay, let's go ahead and do our decorative stitch. We're going to put our cobalt in. Don't worry about that little, that looks like about 1/8 of an inch. We'll be able to just trim and make that fit in and then press and make it look perfect. This is a good time to watch TV, read a book. No, I'm just kidding. Don't read a book. But I am answering my emails right now. Yay! Okay, on to the next. Okay. And maybe it's easier for you to do this, you know, at your hooping station. I'm going to go ahead and remove these. All right, I'm going to scoot this up. I'm going to scoot this over. And I want this down about, I'd say, 1.5 inches. Seem to be about perfect. Is that down too low? Maybe we want to put it up a little bit higher. But it would be nice to have a little more room, right? I could have used a little more room with the last one. There we go. And then I want this about 1 inch over. So I'm going to put this one down first. Where is my rule? Or whatever you measured it to be over. Uh-oh, 1.25 inches. I need to scoot that. Whoops, you didn't see that, right? 1.25 inches. I'm going to scoot it over a little bit. Or, you know what? It would be fine there, too, because I can just move it on my screen. Okay, let's get this down a little bit. Whatever you have to do to get it in place. That's 1 inch. So good. I got that one in place. Oh, look at that. I don't even have enough fabric this way, but we're going to make it work. My fabric's got like a little bite out of it, but it seems like it's going to work. All right, let's go ahead. We're going to put this back on. And let me measure. So I should be about an inch over. Perfect. An inch and a half down. I'm like an inch and a quarter. And that might be perfect too. And I'm going to slide this on. And I'm going to check it with my projector. Okay, what if you don't have a projector? You might have a camera, right? So we could use our camera to see if that's in view. Hang on, I'm going to see if I can use my upper left and upper right points. Oh my goodness. I think I was not recording again. So what I showed you was I was using, I'll do it for the next one. I was not recording, and I showed you how I placed this without the projector, which is pretty slick. So I wanted to show that to you. I'll do it with the next one. Maybe I can show you after this. Makes me sad. Sorry. Okay, I'm going to show you with the next hooping. You might have to fast forward. But look how good that looks. And no camera. I didn't even use the camera or the projector. I use like old school technology. I think it was even better than with my projector. Alrighty, I'm going to go ahead and spray and pull down all of the batting so it looks amazing. And I am spraying in the hoop. And again, if you feel like you're a messy sprayer, I want you to get a piece of cardboard and just kind of put it down to protect. And don't go too crazy. All right, we're going to lay down our pieces of batting. Just going to kind of look underneath and pull it down. And I think I'll have enough for one more hooping. And then a lot of times I'll just abut my batting. Like I don't even sew it together. I just lay it down and make sure it's like this. Ah, I'm just upset that if I wasn't recording that last little bit. This has been a problem with me lately. I was just reading this article, or I didn't even read the article. I read the headline, and it said it was just about how you'll remember better, remember more by remembering less. Meaning I will remember more when there's not so much in my head to be remembering. There we go. Okay. Now I'm going to take my spray and spray one more time so I can put my fabric down. And actually, we just need one more hooping, right? If you're getting it everywhere, do not do that. Take it off of the machine, spray it down. Use a piece of cardboard to protect. And put one hand underneath. Kind of gently drag it down. Okay, so now I'm going to change out to my cloud because you want a color that you can see. My God, the next hooping is going to be amazing. I'm going to show that to you one more time. And that might be it, right? Because it's been 11 inches each. That'll be 44 inches. That's going to be with the fabric. All right, let's skip some steps. Here we go. This is tack down for your batting. We're cut to size, so we don't need that. You do not have to hit this 3 times. I can touch right here in my progress bar. Can't I? Used to be able to. No? Okay, guess not. Let's touch 3 times. That is your placement stitch for your background. We're already placed, so we don't need that either. We're going to do that. That's the tack down for your background. Here we go. Every time I do this, it's like I'm doing it for the first time. Seriously. Isn't that awful? It should be like, oh, I'm so experienced. But every time I do it, I'm like, feels like the first time. I am using my hand, but I'm not getting close to that needle. That was a lot better. So nudge it down a little bit more, because I was really close before. And like I said, I like my batting at 1.25 instead of the 1, because I feel like the 1 gets pushed in, kind of gets pushed in between the layers, and you can kind of see it, and I don't like that. Okay, I'm going to change back to Cobalt, and now we're going to do the regular stitching. Cobalt, ta-da. I have so much I want to get done. So I think tomorrow morning, I think I'm going to get up and finish. I really have to finish. Uh-oh. My phone is dying. Hang on just a second. All right. I'm threaded. I'm ready to go. And look at your screen. I'm ready to do the quilting stitch. It says, "My home sweet home, America, land that I love." Yeah, I was thinking I needed to do 55 inches, but since I'm doing 3 of these at a time, I can do the 44 inches. I'm going to cut one of them in half and sew that on. And I know there's going to be a little batting in the seam, but that's totally fine. And then, so that'll be 44, that'll be like 44, 66 inches each, which is going to be plenty. Dog hair, dog hair, dog hair. one more. Cute. Okay, so let's rehoop, and I'm gonna make sure that I don't mess it up this time. So I'm gonna go ahead and take off my magnets. Remember, we're about 1.5 inches from the top. I've got a 1/2 inch top and bottom because it's a 12-inch hoop and my design's about 11 inches. So it's a little bit of give. You want to give yourself some room. You don't want to make it like, I mean, I've done it where I've done the 12-inch design, but you just don't have any room for error. I don't even know if I'm going to have enough muslin underneath here because I kind of am using this kind of ratty last chance piece. So I'm going to go ahead and push that all the way up to the top. Might just have enough. Might not have enough. Okay. If I don't have enough, we're going to have to figure it out. I'm going to put something underneath. We'll just run something left to right. That's the great thing about muslin. I always tell people it's not stabilizer, but you can use it as your base. So I'm just going to run this left to right. I know this seems a little weird, but I just, my fabric, this is just like a leftover piece of fabric. I do some unconventional things. Hopefully your piece is big enough and it's just going to stay. I'm just going to put this down here. We'll cover it over. Okay. So here we go. And I'll fix that in just a minute. All right. From the top, I need about... There we go. I need my fabric to be about 1/2 inch, 1.5 inches from the very top. Oh, let's scoot it up. here to here. That's probably about 1.5 inches. Okay, make sure everything's kind of squared up too. It'll just make it easier later. I was looking, I can't tell you how many times I've lost something on my lap. I was just like, I had to pause the video to find that. Okay, I'm going to put my next piece on. And I know I have this kind of irregularly shaped. That's actually too close. I want it a little bit further apart, further away. 1 inch. The tiniest bit. Did you see that? It was like a nudge. Okay. That's like 1 inch perfectly. Okay. Now I'm going to go ahead and just adjust everything else. All right, got everything cinched down. Let's get this out of the way. And now I'm going to go ahead and place. So we have these two. Looks like I'm going to need one more piece because that's not going to be quite long enough. So I'll cut another piece for that. I'm going to put this down. Ooh, he might be long enough because that's all that's with the fabric. That's as far as I can go. And now let's go ahead and place. Like, I think I did a pretty good job because I measured 1 inch over. So we're going to check. And this is how I can do it without having to use a projector or a camera. I'm going to say okay right here. And I'm going to go say okay here. I'm still on my layout screen, or the screen from which we stitch out. This button is what I was telling you about before. We'll do a continuous trace out, and it will trace out from each corner of the design. It'll go all the way around, continuous without stopping. This button here, I can hit that, and now I can do my upper leftmost point. And keep in mind, when we're looking at our design, I'm going to go here with my design. There are 3 lines. The first line, the outermost line, is going to be the placement stitch line. That's why it's blue. The next line is going to be your tack down line. That's why it's orange. And the inner line is going to be your batting line. Okay. So what we're looking at is going to be like the leftmost point, which is where I'm at right now, should be a little bit to the left of our tack down. So you can see he's kind of a little bit to the left of the tack down. Perfect. Now let's go ahead and let's check over here. We're going to hit our rightmost point. You see it's going to go all the way there. And that should be a little bit to the right of our tack down, which it is. Might be a little bit too far, but I think it's pretty good. And then we could go center. You're not going to see this. This is center. That looks good. When we do close up, you get to see all the little nooks and crannies. I'm going to go to 2-point magnification there. You can see that a little bit better. Again, let's go ahead and look here at our leftmost point. And it should be outside that line. This one is, there's a line here. That's the background. Out here will be the background placement. This one is our tack down. And here would be the batting. Those 1, 2, 3 lines. That looks pretty good to me. The other thing I want to look at is I want to look at how far in front of this I am. It's hard to look at it from head on. So I'm going to hand roll my needle down. That's good. I'm about 1/8 of an inch. I'm going to put my needle back up and I'm going to look at it over here, make sure I'm about 1/8 of an inch. I'm going to manually roll that up. I usually don't hand roll to the back, but I will just to get my needle up. I'm going to go the rightmost point. I'm going to hand roll. I'm going to look from the side. That's good. That's about 1/8 of an inch. And that looks good to me. I'm happy with that. Let me come back here. I'm happy with that. That looks good to me. Now that I know it's right where it wants to be, it's a little bit in front of this, and both of these points are a little bit to the outside, I'm good to go. I'm going to pull this back. I'm going to pull my batting back. I'm going to grab myself another piece of batting that is going to finish this strip up here. Let's pull these back and out of the way. I want that a little bit in front of so I don't have to pull it back so hard like I did before. Let me go grab one more piece of batting. And that was me placing without even having to use the projector. You can use your projector too. We should show you that. So if you have the Luminaire or you have the Avenir or the Radiance or the Solaris or any of those, let's go ahead and look at our projector as well. So I'm going to say okay to get out of this screen. You have to be at stitch 0 on your layout page to use your projector. The projector is the upside down dunce cap. I'm going to push that. You're going to see though, look, my projector is down here. I want to see up here to the top. You're going to move your projector with your finger and then the design with your arrow. So I'm going to move this. Wait, here, I want you to be able to see everything. Watch my projector move up. There we go. So I want to see that. And then that's going to take me to the top of my design. Looks good, right? And smooth your fabric down. That is going to give you your best view. If it's like this, you're not going to be able to really tell. Smooth it down. And I can see my white line here is in line with my center one. And that is going to be the tack down line. So that looks good. So I'm happy with that too. Otherwise, now you could use your move arrows right here with your stylus. And I could move my design to the left, to the right, up and down. But we're not going to do that right now because we know that it looks good. All right, I'm going to turn my projector off. I'm going to flip all my fabric back. And I'm going to spray and we're going to lay everything down. Okay, the men are coming in and you know they're always loud. Loud and proud. I'm going to give a little shot of spray right here. After we do our placement line, I have cobaltin, and I'm fine with that. Let's go here where we can go forward and backward stitches, and we're gonna do our oh shoot, hang on. Oh my god. Okay, I had to actually pull my hand out. It got like sandwiched in between, so I had to pause the video. Manually move the, my hand got sandwiched right here. Kind of strange. Okay, we almost have no bobbin thread. So I'm going to go ahead. When you do this, use the reinforcement stitch button to sew a single stitch. I'm going to go ahead and just cut. Use the cut button to cut. I'm going to go ahead and take this off. And let me change my bobbin. You have never had my hand stuck like that before. Let's see. This one's the one. if it's long like this, I trim it. I don't want that to get stuck. Tomorrow I'm going to have the borders done, and I'm excited about that because then this weekend I'll do the scallops, and then we'll be able to hang this up, and it'll be so pretty. This is just a placement stitch, so I'm just going to hit start, and I'm not going to backtrack. I reach in this way. You see some serious jury rigging with me. Because I feel like there's things you can get away with. Like, it'll be fine that I have some muslin to the back. I'm going to pull this to the back a little bit. Okay, now I'm going to give it a little shot of spray, and I'm going to lay down my batting. I'm going to do it like this. Gentle. You don't want too much down. And you don't want to get it all over your hoop. I'm going to just go ahead and lay this down first. And you're going to see that this piece is a little short. The other ones are perfect. So they're long enough that they'll cover the whole thing. And I can cut a little piece off of this one to make it work. Let me do that. I mean, I will need a little bit more. So I'm going to give this a little shot of spray in my spray tent. And I'm just going to abut it. So it's perfect. Now I'm going to give this another shot of spray and lay down the rest of my midnight blue fabric. And I didn't need to go all the way. Let me see how much I need. I want to make sure it sticks all the way down to this bottom because I'm going to quilt it all the way to the end. There we go. All right. Ready? We are going to go ahead and skip some steps. So we can go here to our screen. I'm going to skip all of these. That is the batting. That's the background placement. We're going to skip all three of those. And I'm going to do the background tack down. I'm going to put cloud in. We're going to fussy cut to that. And then we do the quilting stitch. And we are done. Not bad, right? And, you know, yours will probably be a little easier because mine looked a little junky. Because I was using that last piece of muslin. And I was pretty sure it was almost close enough. And I did have to put a little piece in the back just to support it. Okay, here we go. Now I'm going to have to be careful down here. It's going to come off, it's going to cut, and when it comes here to go back on, that's when I'm going to have to make sure. So here, we're going to come here. I'm going to go ahead and hit the cut button. I'm going to fast forward. You're not going to see it, but I'm going to hit my plus 10s. Ready? Plus 10, plus 10, and then perfect. I want to make sure I go right back onto my fabric. I'm going to hit my start button, and we're back on again, okay? But if you just need to make sure that that foot doesn't scoop and pull that fabric back. Looks good. I'm off about 1/8 of an inch, but that's totally fine. I'm going to go ahead and hit stop. I'm going to hit my cut button. On my screen, I'm going to hit plus 10, plus 10, plus 10. That looks pretty good. I just want to hold my fabric down, make sure it doesn't get caught under there. There we go. I'm going to hit stop. I'm going to hit my cut button. I'm going to go on my screen and hit plus 10. Oh, plus 10. I might hit a couple more pluses. That looks good to me. And then I'll start right there. All right, and then we're going to do our quilting stitch. Change your thread out. We're going to put our cobalt back in. Cobalt. So you can use your those little positioning buttons for placement. You could use your projector if you have it. You can do it the Kimberbell way, which they want you to, after each one, you want to cut your batting piece back, and then there'll be a placement, and then you'll be able to put everything down. That might be easier too. And I've lots of videos where I do it that way too. Okay, this is going to come all the way down, and then it goes all the way back. So we're going to stitch all the way to here. We'll go ahead and cut our thread. Then we'll hit our plus 10s until it comes back on again. I shouldn't use junky pieces of muslin and batting. I just can't help myself because I want to use it all up. And once I get into the selvage, I'm just going to hit the stop button because we don't need that icky selvage quilted. Okay, so I'm going to hit my stop button. I'm going to hit my cut button. And then I'm going to hit my plus 10s. Oh, let me go minus 10. There we go. You don't want to overshoot it too. And back on. Looks cute. Okay, we're going to let it stitch all the way down. Once it goes off the fabric, we'll cut it. We'll stop, cut, and then we'll do our plus 10s. Okay, I'm getting ready. Finger is on the start stop button. I'm going to go ahead and stop it right here. I'm going to hit the cut button. And then on my screen, I'm going to hit my plus 10s. And you can see right here, here's my little hash mark. I can go ahead and hit my plus 10s and not even look. Well, I do have to look because I have to see when it comes back on the fabric. That's really important. And plus 10. Plus 10. Okay, we can start it right there. Just make sure that foot doesn't go underneath the fabric, and we're back on again. And then we have one more side to do, and we're done. Then we're going to go ahead and press it. You want to press? Then we're going to trim, and then we'll sew the sides. We'll cut this third one in half, sew it together with those two, and then sew it on to the main front. Okay, here we go. One more. Okay, get ready to hit your stop button. I'm going to hit the scissors to cut. Then on my screen, I'm going to hit my plus 10s. Okay, and we're back on, and now we're going to let it sew back all the way up to the top, and then we are done with these. That wasn't too bad, right? I gotta tell you, I am not crazy about doing borders. They're not my favorite thing. They do stop me from completing projects. Hopefully this wasn't too traumatizing for you and you were able to get it done. And just know that it doesn't have to be perfect. Like this isn't perfect right here, but once I press and trim it and sew it on, it's going to look perfect and you're never going to know. This isn't perfect down here because I almost ran out of fabric here and I had to put another piece underneath. That's not going to be perfect, but you're never going to know. So we are done with these, and next thing I'm going to do is I am going to press, trim, cut this one, sew half of it to this one and half of it to this one, and then we'll sew it all together. I'll be right back. Hey everyone, it's Jeannie from A1 Vacuum and Sewing, and I finally finished stitching out my borders, and I was getting ready to press them, and then I'm going to trim them. So I'm going to go ahead and turn on my iron. When I press these, I like to press them from the back side. I had one big piece of muslin, and then when I got to the bottom, I had a little part that was like a little bit chewed up, so I layered my muslin, and I had to like kind of trim it because it got like turned under. But that kind of stuff never bothers me. It's funny because I'm such a stickler for some things, and some things I just really don't care about. So this got turned over under. It's going to be fine when I press it all, and when it's all pressed and I sew it all together. So what I liked about this way is I was able to do it all in one piece, like the muslin all in one piece, and then the border fabric all in one piece. This was with a fabric, so I didn't cut the three pieces apart and then sew them together. So I'm going to do that now. And I'm not worried about there being a little seam or anything because that's going to be fine too. So let's go ahead and press it. I know it looked really ugly, so I hope you're not like, wow, that is not how I would do it. I've just done so many of these. I know what I can get away with and what I can't get away with, and this is something I could get away with. So let's go ahead and when I press, I like to use a little bit of water. I like some moisture from the back side. And the other thing is I'm doing this on my wool mat. I have my wool mat doubled because it's on top of my cutting mat, and I don't want my cutting mat to warp. So... and I'm just going to go in the direction of my embroidery. It got all kind of turned under, so I had to kind of cut it, make it so it wasn't too icky. Oh, dog's barking. Sorry. Sorry. And then the rest of this is, hopefully I have enough. We're in the middle of the quilt show. Well, actually, the quilt show starts tomorrow. So I wanted this to have as a sample at the show. Because it's so cute. And I feel like sometimes you see something and you're like, oh, that's okay. And then you see it in person, you're like, that is so cute. Which for me, well, some of them I'm like, that's going to be adorable. Like, I feel like Enchanted Winter, which is coming up, is going to be adorable. And is it called Sweetheart Shop? Or the bench pillow is going to be adorable. And I could have done these a little closer together if I wanted. But I wanted some space, and... you want to press it until it's dry and press it until it's flat. All right, now we're going to trim it. So when you trim it, I'm going to actually use, because I want it to be a little bit longer, this is my Kimberbell rotating mat. And I want it because it's longer, like it's square. I'm going to use this ruler. What is this one? Oh, you know what's so funny is, that is so funny. Who was it that was like, I want the 4.5 by 8.5 ruler you have? And I was like, I don't have a 4.5 by 8.5 ruler, but I do. And I didn't even realize it. All right, here's my 4.5 by 8.5. You're going to cut 1/8 of an inch outside of that line. And if the line isn't perfect, don't worry about it. Just do the best you can. And then we'll cut 1.5 inches from that. So I'm going to actually have you go from a side view because I want to put my head above here. And so my head's going to be in the way because I'm getting a little bit of a glare. And I should really start from the bottom, huh? There we go. Or we can go this way. I didn't even realize I had a 4.5 by 8.5. Because sometimes, like, you just need it a little bit smaller. So 1/8 of an inch to the right of that line is what we want. And remember, your fabric is malleable. You can control it. So my line's kind of going to the inside. I'm going to go ahead and pull it over a little bit. Here we go. Here we go. I think it's going to be easier if I start from the bottom and pull down. Let's do it this way. And when you have a join that's not quite perfect, you just do the best you can with the join. And a lot of times I'll move my ruler around. Like, look right here. See how I'm off? Oh, you can't really see that well from that angle. I'm just going to make it work. I'll just make it go from here. See? And it's fine. It's going to get sewn into the seam allowance, so I'm not really worried about it. We're not looking for perfection. Okay, this we'll put to the side. We still need to do our scallop borders. Scallop borders. And now it's going to be 1.5 inches over. So here's my 1.5 inches. So you can just measure 1.5 inches. I wouldn't go 1/8 of an inch. I would go 1.5 inches from this edge. So I would do a 1/4 inch. I mean 1/8 of an inch from one of those lines, and then go 1.5 inches from that. And then we'll do the other ones. But 1.5 inches because you want these to be, once you're done, they're going to be 1 inch because a 1/4 inch and a 1/4 inch are going to get sewn in. Got it? And I just do a little bit at a time. Let's cut these. It's feeling a little thick there. Okay, this one's done. Okay. 1/8 of an inch. 1/8 of an inch. 1/8 of an inch from one of those. And I'm measuring from the tack down line. We can do this side too, so we don't have to flip. So we're going to do this one too. Oh, I'm getting such a glare. Okay, these two sides are done on one side. I'm going to flip them over and do the other side. Let's move that out of the way. My goodness, are you so bored? I know this is boring, right? Boring. So you guys get the picture. I'm going to pause the video and finish this up, and then I'll be right back. So you don't have to watch me do this, and I can move the camera out of my way. Okay, these are all trimmed and ready to go, and they look amazing and spectacular. And don't worry if it's a little bigger here and a little smaller there. You're going to be sewing it in 1/4 of an inch on either side, and it's going to encase that seam. What I am going to do is I am going to trim this on the edge. So I'm going to go ahead and let's trim this. I'll trim it like right beyond here, because we're going to sew these together. I want to make sure it's squared up. Make sure you square it up here and here so that one of your lines is square with the edge here, and then you trim there. And then we'll go ahead and we'll sew, we'll cut one of them in half. And what I could do is I could sew one end to the other one first. Did I do both ends? No, I did not. One end to the other one first, and then sew it together. And we have to measure. Okay, which edge have I not done? I'm so close. Part of me is tempted to not do this scalloped edge, because I'm like, oh, maybe I'll like it better without this scalloped edge. But I want to try it. I've never done a scalloped edge. Have I ever done a scallop? I don't think so. I'm going to go ahead and sew 2 of these. I want to make sure the writing is going the right direction, okay? So I'm going to sew 2 of these together. America. Okay, and this one is this way. I'm going to sew these 2 together, and then I'm going to measure and then cut. Does that make sense? So let me go ahead and sew. Should I just cut it in half? Like, what am I going to do with this anyways, right? Okay, I'm going to cut one of these in half. Cut it in half. Da-da-dun. And it doesn't have to be perfectly in half. Hopefully it doesn't make a difference. I folded it, so I'm going to go ahead and cut it. Make sure nothing's underneath. Okay, now I will sew 2 of these together. And here's America, and America goes this way. So I'm going to go ahead and sew those 2 together. And I always like to keep that on the right-hand side. And then I'm going to sew these 2 together, America, and this way. I'll sew these 2 together. Then I will press them open. I'm going to measure, because what the directions say to do is to... They want you to measure right here. Measure the length, and then I'm going to cut each one to that length, and then I will ease it in, and I will sew both sides. It's big, so I'm going to lay it down on my floor, and I'll measure it, but I'm not going to do it for you. I will go ahead and sew these 2 together. Why don't we go ahead and just put our cobalt in. I have my sewing machine set up. Have not been on my machine in a couple of days because we ended up going to the bay this weekend. Whoop, whoop. And, yeah, we went to the bay this weekend and saw Coldplay, and it was awesome. And I thought it was so funny because Sandra F., you know who you are, called me because she's going to see him this week. She's probably seeing them right now in Vegas, and that was the original show we were supposed to go to.
It was like Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
Oh, it's coming up. It's coming up this weekend, so she's not there yet. And but I thought that was so funny because I was like, oh my God, you and I were almost at the same concert together. And how funny would that have been if we met sewing, but now we're also concert friends too. But unfortunately, I wasn't able to go this weekend. But that's okay because I went last weekend. It was awesome. Okay, I'm going to tighten this. And when you have the walking foot, you do have to you can't come in straight. It's a little bit at an angle because the back of the foot's in the way. Can you even see? Oh my goodness. And I'm just going to leave my pre-wound bobbin in there. I sew with those all the time. Because in my head I went, okay, who cares if I'm sewing with that? Because that is, it's just polyester 60 weight thread, right? So here we go. I'm going to sew these together on this side. And right here, I'm going to take my stitch length down to 2.0. I'm going to do stitch 103 with my dual feed foot because I love that foot and I use it for everything. Make sure you are plugged in. And then the other thing you need is your 1/4 inch sole. I am a 1/4 inch sole kind of girl because I need a physical flange. Like I can line it up with like lines here and I do sometimes, but I really prefer a flange. I like a guide. I don't know. Sometimes I'm just not concentrating. I'm like, oh my God, I need the guide there. It helps me. It's kind of like bowling with gutter guards. Yeah, why not? Okay, I'm going to match these up one more time. And then let's sew them together. And then I'm going to press them open flat. And I know it's a little bit of bulk in there. You could like pull out the batting. Well, you can't really just because there is, I'm going to start with my needle down and my auto lift on. And here we go. And I like to just let it do 1 or 2 stitches right in place. And I kind of hold it there in place. The reason why you can do that is because the belt, I'm going to back stitch over this. The belt is not engaged, and you should also not be doing a ton of back stitching with your walking foot on, but I will do a little bit of it. I'm getting my next 2 pieces. I'm going to line those 2 up. My foot lifted up for me because I have my auto lift on. I'll show you what I mean by the auto lift. Oh, I just remembered that. I can't remember. Somebody had asked I'm going to abut that to my needle and then let it go. And then let's do a forward and back stitch. Okay, what was I going to do? I can't remember when we did our last class. Somebody had asked me, maybe it was Jeanne had asked me to show them something. And I can't do like, this is how I describe movies and books. I'm like, oh my God, that movie was so amazing. And then somebody's like, well, what was it about? And I can't even tell you. That's how, isn't that awful? Okay, I love this. This is my chain cutter gypsy quilter. I have another one too, but I've been using that one. And then these, I'm just going to take them. I brought this home too. This is my pressing bar. So I have two of them. This one, which is big and beefy, and it has this on it. So you can use it as a clapper too. And this one, which is just long and skinny, flatter, but round. And you know what? I'm all about the pressing bar. I'm just going to press this open. Nobody's even going to know when I attach it. And be like, do you see how bulky it is there? And they're going to be like, I didn't even notice. If you'd never said anything, I wouldn't even said anything. That's what we do. We like to point out the flaws. Why do we do that? Look, you wouldn't even know. And it's dark and it's like, and sometimes I will, I'll press this to relax my fabric and my stitches. But right now I'm just going for it. We're going full commando. And then I like to give it a little shot of best press. And I feel like if you do it on the pressing bar, it just like naturally pushes the seam up and then pushes everything down to the side. It's just like how it works. And then you want a clapper. Okay, I'm going to measure my quilt from the middle top all the way down to the bottom. And then I'm going to cut these to that length and I will be right back. All right. I was like, I hope that wasn't recording because have you guys seen lately that I've been hitting the pause when I want to record and the record when I want to pause? Because I just had a bubbly water and it made me burp. And I was like, oh my God, I hope I wasn't recording. I don't burp often, but when I drink bubbly water, I do. Okay, 54 inches. So I just measured all the way down the center, and these need to be 54 inches. Oh my God. You know what I'm going to do because I don't have a ton of room here? I'm going to go, I work on the floor a lot. So I'm going to go measure these on the floor. I'm going to cut it to 54 inches and I'll be right back. Okay, I had 54 inches. And so I want to take this and you can decide, and I don't think you'll even notice, but I'm going to have it so my writing, America, is facing in. So I'm always reading it this way. So when I do the other side, I'm going to do it so America is facing in. Does that make sense? So I can read it. So its right side is from the bottom up and this right side is from the top down. Hopefully that makes sense. So let's go ahead and you should clip it all down, but who does that? Who does everything the right way? Michelle Burrett, I know you do. You're amazing. But I like to do things the lazy way. So I'm not even going to measure it, or I'm sorry, I'm not going to clip it down, but I do want it to be like, read it that way so I can see it. So I'm going to go ahead and flip it over. And let me check it one more time. And now it's covered with dog hair because I did it on my floor. Violet the other day is like, you have a lot of dog hair in your room. Because my dogs are always in here. Okay, I'm going to back stitch that. I'm going to go forward. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and sew this down on this whole side. And I'm going to make sure that those seams say open if I'm coming to a seam. And then we will press it. And I think you press it towards the border. So my family just came downstairs and said dinner is ready. But you know when you're like, I just want to finish this. I got to finish it. I can't not finish it. Okay, make sure those are flat. I have 2 coming. And you might be a little over, a little under. And it's all going to be gorge. Open seam. Oh, I can't wait to put a picture in there. I'm going to have to find something really cute tonight. The kids cooked us dinner tonight. I mean, how nice is that, right? When your kids get old enough to cook you dinner. We told them, we're like, you're cooking us dinner tonight. That's what Patrick said. And my kids like to cook, so it was fine. They really like it when we take them out for dinner. I think that's their favorite. But they don't like to waste food either. I'm probably about 2/3 of the way done. Okay, and we're coming near the bottom, so I'm just going to make sure I have enough. Keep the top manageable. This is a good time to put your extension table on or lower this down into your table. I'm like 1/8 of an inch short, so I'm just going to ease it as I go. And there we go. All right. I'm going to take this over. Let's sew the other side down, but you're going to press this and you want it to go to the border. So you're just going to leave it like that. and just fold it over, and it feels kind of natural that way anyways, okay? Now I'm going to go ahead and do the other side, and again, I want the words to be facing inward. Here we go. America. All right, let's put this down here, and let's start stitching. All right. Make sure that's open. Oh my goodness, how am I going to do that scallop border? I'm going to have to, when I go up for dinner, I'm going to read the instructions because I haven't even read them yet. I have no idea how it's done. And I just take my time when I do something like this. I am not pedal to the metal. I am not pinning. I am not clipping. So I just go nice and slow and take my time. When you get about halfway, you want to check and make sure that you're gonna have that it's pretty even on the end, because then you'll know, do I need to go ahead and ease a little bit more? Is the top a little short? When I was checking, my top was a little bit short, so I started giving it just a gentle pull on the top, just so it was gonna be long enough. I'm gonna check right now. Oh, I think we're doing really well, and I mean it was gentle. So this is, fold this back a little bit, and then we will press. Make sure that seam is open. Any of the seams that it's going over, I mean, if it's not, it might just be a little bulky there. Make sure that ribbon doesn't get in the way. Check it. Make sure it's even on the end. I'm probably about, I don't know, 3/4 of the way there. That seam is open. This seam is open. Those are... And we are done. Let's go ahead and take this over to the iron, and we're going to press that outward. Okay. It wants you to press it out. So let's go ahead and we're just going to go in this direction like this. And you can press it to relax it. And be mindful of your embroidery, of specialty fabrics, anything like that. And then I'm just going to do it with a little bit of best press, because the best press is going to make it stay. I'm going to be mindful of that vinyl right there. My ironing area seems so small. I have another ironing area. I should probably go over there, but I'm not going to. I'm going to stay right here, because why do something that makes so much sense? We're going to just go ahead and I'm not even going to give it the little relaxing press from the other side. I'm just going to go this way. And quite honestly, if I have something really thick, which I do have a thick seam here, there's one above and below, I've been beating it. I'm like, that totally works. Beating your seam works. I might give that little hammer. This is a little damp from before, so I'm just going to go ahead and press. And then we're going to do the other side. Gorge. Okay. Let's go ahead. We're going to come in from the other side. Then I have to do the dreaded binding. I am not somebody who loves binding. Okay. Watch out for that vinyl on the windows. Just be mindful of what's underneath your iron. Oh my goodness. The whole family's upstairs going, hey, hey, which means that Poppy is doing something naughty. You know it's not Momo. Actually, sometimes it is Momo. But most likely it's Poppy. Be careful of that lace. You don't want to melt that. Alrighty. So my borders are on. Don't they look gorgeous? So let's go ahead. I'm going to go have dinner with my family, and I'm going to read about how to do my, I'm going to read about how to do the scallops, and I'll be right back.